My name is Dr. Norma Chandler, and I am the Manager of Student Care and Conduct at Paradise Valley Community College. So today I'm going to speak about these pieces that are right here. This is a retablo, and it's made in tin work from New Mexico. And then these right here are what they call bultos, and one of them is a little bit more older, more traditional style, but the other one's a little bit newer version. The reason that these pieces are important to me is because I was raised in New Mexico, and I grew up seeing them and appreciating the artwork. A lot of them are featured in a lot of the mission churches that are scattered through New Mexico, especially in northern New Mexico, like Santa Fe, Taos, and some of the Pueblo settlements. They are artwork that is also very unique to New Mexico, which is another reason that I'm drawn to it, because something that comes from an area where I was raised is near and dear to my heart. I think in order to really talk about this art is we need to know a little bit about the history. And so northern New Mexico was colonized by the Spanish in the 1600s, the late 1680. And when they went there, that's when they brought the priests and they started a lot of the missions. And the Spaniards were not very friendly to the indigenous people at the time, and there was a revolt that happened. When this revolt happened, they burned down some churches, and they sent back over 2,000 Spaniards back to Mexico. This artwork is reflective of when the Spaniards came back, and then when they were resettling, they were starting to scatter throughout New Mexico. And it made it really impossible for the priests to be able to visit people in their homes on a regular basis. And because they weren't able to visit people in their homes, they weren't seeing priests. And so this artwork started by a group of people called the Santeros, who were recreating some of the saints, although not always representative of them, in order to have people have an intercessionary between what was happening on earth, also with the heavens. And so they used these to pray to on their behalf, or ask them to pray for them on their behalf. And so this artwork was started from basically rural farmers in New Mexico, and they used the woods, the natural woods that were available in New Mexico. So it's not like any fancy type of wood. It would be from the pine trees that were available, or the mesquite, or any of the stuff that they had in order to carve them. Again, because they didn't have formal art training, one of the things that you can see is a lot of times the bultos weren't made to scale. So sometimes you'll see that they'll have like a really large head, or that their eyes are like out of proportion, or they have a flat nose, or something isn't perfect with the bulto. You'll also see it in the hands. The hands are sometimes proportionately too large, or some maybe even too small. And part of it is because they were making them out of what they had to work with. But they were something that were revered by families and passed down. This one right here by Frank Brito is this artwork actually went away in the 1870s. It kind of disappeared, and then it was brought back in the 1920s. And then in the 60s, more artists started to really appreciate what was happening with this art. And Frank Brito is an example of that. And so you can see that he created a bulto. Again, it's a carving, but you can see that this one has a lot more refinement. You can see a lot more details in the birds, and he's a little bit more proportionate. And he does really fine work. As a matter of fact, his work is featured in the Smithsonian. The pictures that we have back here, these are by Marie Romero Cash. And what they were done on a piece of wood. It was just like a flat piece of wood, and they used a gesso in order to paint the white part in the back, and that's made out of clay and materials that you find in the earth. And then they used the different colors in order to paint them. These right here are actually kind of perfect because they're square. Because actually in a bulto it's kind of has ragged edges all around it, and you'll never see one that's completely flat. Sometimes they're also curved, and so you see those things in this style of art. What's new to this art too is the fact that they're using the punch tin, and that's also very common in New Mexico, where they decorate or add another decorative piece to it by punching holes into tin in order to provide that formal, a little bit more rich looking appearance.